Complexity on the CT side, and maybe Splyce will need God's grace if they're going to come back from that first map, because my goodness, was that a spanking. I'd say for the back of Android's individual play, Surreal as well had a great game, and it's Surreal to find the first frag this time round. Semphis gets dropped off of mid. No one's watching the cross. That's going to leave him with a salty taste in his mouth. We're going to have the T side continuing forward towards the Balk, though, so they will find a bit of presence on the map, but Desi brings up the rear of the caboose, and he takes one before going down. Rick's able to trade as Roka finds the plant. 4 versus 3 retake for Complexity.
Ooh, Roka, good dink, good kill on the def. So now, back at it even, man. Both teams as Riggs. I think it was a burst block from Balcony. He's still going for the burst. Android's going to show you why not to use it. As Android's in a 1v2, low HP, good tap on drone, looking for this last player in sight. That's Roka. 1 bullet elects to reload. As he tries to find the head of Roka, Android's gonna push in. Roka will say not this round. As Roka gets a 3K, and Roka's gonna relieve a little bit of stress and anxiety with a little bit of a control crouch.
Look, you want to take a crouch on someone's face, you make sure it's not the guy who just wrecked you.
You make
on
sure you
train.
win the previous match.
Yeah, you're coming into this one, but that's a little flair. I like that. I like that Splyce still have their attitude. They are a very rambunctious team. Again, I got to watch them play at LAN at MDL, and they were very kind of vibrant with their shouting and whatnot when it came to playing versus Pain. They were just screaming individuals' names so that they could try and get in their minds. They've got a lot of attitude, a lot of personality on Splyce, and I think that's one of the reasons you can actually like them. However, they got dumpstered on train, so you need to give respect to your opponents. And especially Android, because again, he had such a crazy individual performance on train. I don't know if he's going to be able to translate that further into the second map, or if Complexity in general will be as good on Inferno as they were their map choice. But either way, we did see a near retake attempt there from Android in a 1v3, and it's just rude. It's just rude, Seaside.
Rude boys? I mean, there's nothing like teabagging to get out some frustrations, though. You know, you've just got absolutely smacked around on train. Your IGL's mad at you for not following basic calls, and then you clutch it out. So, might as well relieve some of that tension. Some of that built-up tension. Now, normally you have the bells on this map that you can shoot to relieve some tension. Unfortunately, now they are just painted on the wall. So that option's gone. But Inferno, I like Inferno as a whole, Scrawny. Let's dive into the argument for Inferno. What do you think of the map? Do you like the changes? Do you like Inferno? Do you like where it's going? Do you feel it's competitive enough? You know, what do you like? What do you don't like?
I like that they kept the skybox low over towards the B site so that you can bounce Molotovs into the site and clear off, say, oranges. And the back of new box. So I like that a lot of the core components of the old Inferno were still kept forward. I personally really like the remaking of Banana. I didn't like the arches on the side and all the kind of awkward cover that gave you. So I'm an advocate for the cosmetic and structural changes, but I still think that apartments need to be reworked. I think there's a lot of wall banging that goes on that should be kind of prevented. And I'm also a big fan of the amount of boosts that have kind of been facilitated both on A and B. The half wall next to the CT cross, that very same half wall which is kind of next to the porch on apartments. Again, you can boost up on top of the small rooftop, but then also the small balconies next to it. There's lots of options that you can explore on the new Inferno. And options that will be explored once this game goes back live. But we're still paused.
Warden's back. The old boys are back in town. That's, you know, Warden's been around forever. He has so much going on in his brain, you know. How long has he been coaching Complexity for? God.
Warden has been coaching Complexity since I started playing Counter-Strike in 2013. And so, anything before that, I don't know about. That's when my knowledge starts.
Jeez. Well, that's a fair bit of knowledge. So we're live. Complexity upgraded pistols, 3 smokes, couple flashes, Splyce, the lone AK, and they actually run Semphis across. It's kind of irrelevant due to him jumping back. If he sneaks up on the right side, you don't really spot it, but Complexity do have numbers here.
My goodness, a mow down from Roka as he finds 2 frags, but that's Surreal on the other side of the smoke. Gonna get snubbed out thanks to Semphis. He just tries to get himself back into the cover, but the ruse is over. Android rotating back from the A site. Now, that's the A site that Android plans on locking down. I messaged him in between maps. I said, hey, man, incredible individual play. Good job. I called you out before it happened, and you stayed true to my word. And he told me that if they go to the A site, he's going to kill everyone, and that he will have just as good of a performance here on Inferno.
You messaged?
So, what's that?
Who told you that?
He did himself.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's feeling confident after the first map, and as long as the Splyce players target the A site, they will have him to deal with. Again, that's his dedicated site. But right now, it's gone to the B site on the conversion of the pistol, which makes sense for Splyce to convert. Still 2 frags found for complexity, and Android keeps the CZ with Kevlar to boot. So something grandfathered forward here for the defense, but it's going to be another pistol round before we get into the meat and taters of the segment.
I don't know about you, but I could go for some meat and taters right now. We've been casting for a while. I think. Well, you got on the you did the one this morning, and then you started back up at what 6:30ish.
Yeah, but I don't eat after midnight.
Really?
Yeah, it's not good for you.
Is that because you can't digest it properly?
Just not good for your body.
Yeah,
you
I know.
Go to bed on a full stomach.
I'm fat and I'm hungry, so I'm gonna eat. You know, like I know it's not good for me, but that's how I got to where I am right now. So I'm gonna do it.
They don't call me scrawny for a reason.
Well, that's good. Good points. So complexity have 3 members on towards the A site. They're rotating Slummy off towards A early. So a nice rotation. It came down to Android peeking down Banana to really figure out that info. And out they come. Sunfist gets 1. Desi gets 1 of his own with a silenced USP. Desi actually gets 2 as Slemmy long range. This gets really scary now as it's a 2v2. Android has armor and a CZ. And it's in a 1v1 and around Splyce bot and complexity had 2 upgraded pistols. As Rix will pick up the bomb. Has a smoke and a molly. I'd like to see him use both of these. Molly will keep Android at bay for now. Now, there may be a gap for Android to sneak by. Instead, he's just going to sit and wait. Content to wait it out.
We saw him near clutch a 1 versus 3 in the pistol. He's got the CZ, and this time it's Rix, not Roka. AK advantage goes to Splyce clearly, but timing works out for Rix. He trains his attention back towards Archside. Android meant to lose that duel, considering half health and the sidearm. But Rix is able to lock things down. So here we have it. Splyce win the pistol. Splyce convert their points. Everything has been par for the course since the start of this T side, but it is complexity with some weaponries, and we shall see if they put up a fight.
Desi. Good deep smoke now down towards Banana. And Desi is just going to sit behind the molly, then push up behind it. Semfist in the meantime has to deal with the smoke in towards mid. And Splyce have no one really spotting this aggressive push from Desi. They're very focused on towards A apps and mid right now. And there is going to be a resmoke for Desi to sit behind. They're going to rotate Def. So that's an interesting smoke from Splyce. I think Adren actually found that one. EU Adren is Android just going to smoke himself off in pit. Has to deal with some nades. Good thing he has Slummy there to help him out as there's 2 players in sight from or pit from complexity doing some work until Rix shuts one of them down and Rix hits another one while moving onto Def. And now it's just Desi in a 1v2.
Yeah, he is starting to creep up from short, and they might not expect him this close, especially since the flash just rained over, but he gives up the shot to Drone. It's been revealed. He still hits Rix, and all he needs is another bullet to connect to the head of Drone. Drone has to cross and grab that bomb. This is in the control of Desi. Desi's going to try to catch him with the off angle, and he does. Complexity pick up that first rifle, and a big clutch from Desi, catching the T side off guard, just kind of sneaking behind their offense, and ultimately closing one for the favor of complexity. But a difficult spot to find yourself in, winning the first gun round with only 1 gun moving forward. So it's going to be the triple ump, single M4 reinvested with a whole lot of nades. Complexity can still hold the line with this kind of a buy. Don't get me wrong, it's Inferno. The ump plays into this kind of play, but at the same time, it is not M4s. It is not ops. At least they have utility.
Slummy taking some significant molly damage. He's going to leave Def at sandbags. Slummy's just going to play around the corner. He's going to flash now. And he's almost baiting for Def at this spot. As the resmoke comes through, Def is going to move forward. We may see Slemmy come with him to go for a little bit of a cheeky boost here. But it looks like Def is just waiting for a counter boost from Splyce himself. And as that smoke slowly starts to dwindle down on its time that it can stay bloomed, Def is just going to fall back safely now. Splyce have 3 smokes and a couple mollies themselves for a full execution. But the one thing Complexity have going for them right now is how Desi's starting to lurk over towards B. I don't think they're doing this. Okay, I thought at first Slemmy's like, yo, let's go. And Def is like, no. So they will boost Slemmy. And we'll see if they clear Def as he's going to wide swing and they'll both drop. So not the best hold you've ever seen coming out from Complexity, as it may just be an instant save call, though.
Yeah, calling saves preemptively on Inferno is incredibly important because the bomb sites are always so hard to retake, especially B. At this point, 2-man disadvantage. You know you've dealt damage to Splyce, so some of these players tagged up, and I mean substantially so. Arya 15, Dro 10, Roka 32. Unfortunately for Complexity, it's not like they get a kill in the first kind of 5 seconds of that retake, so they really need to hard save. But Rix has crept his way behind them, so he could very likely actually catch off maybe 1 or 2 of these players. As the entirety of Splyce start to save towards spawn, they're bound to run into Desi. Desi, of course, just banking on finding some frags, and he will take 1, but Drone swings it back. Surreal's going to try to take his place, so extra damage could be dealt, but Surreal doesn't gamble it, and the long con from Rix does not pan out. So Complexity keep 2, Splyce will keep 4, and that's certainly going to favor them after the reset.
Well, we'll see how much Complexity are willing to put into this one, and the answer is quite a bit. Pistol's armor around this, I mean, they're down to 1,400. Might as well go ahead and gamble, buy into this one. As Def is the only one to just buy a Deagle, so he's going to be doing a little bit of saving. Surreal gets himself in towards Boiler. That nade will do barely anything to him. 2 damage. Surreal, I imagine he's just going to hang out around here for some time as Splyce spamming some smokes, waiting for some aggression play from Complexity, knowing that Complexity don't have all too much to really work with.
Boosted Deagle from Desi does not do much as of yet. Smoke grenade to the bottom of Banana, so this could lead to Complexity taking some forward map aggression, which would actually put them in a really good spot to start flanking onto Splyce, seeing as Splyce have 4 of their guys coming up mid right now. So yes, Desi, playing the opposite side, if he were to walk through, could catch these targets, and the rotate from Complexity's on point. They don't have the weaponry to hold this off, but they certainly have the positioning. Splyce, 45 seconds left, could always rotate back if they get a bad feeling, but seems like they want to commit. They're using their grenades quite nicely, clearing out the pit for the most part, except this tight contact as he goes down to Android. Crucial headshot here from Android, who is incredibly lit. Drone and Roka taking another 2, leaves Def on the site itself, and that Deagle pays dividend as it finds another frag and a headshot as well. So Desi, 1v2, has picked himself the AK, and he's got to come up big if he wants this round for Complexity. Knows the man's up close, and he hits the headshot to Roka, just down to Arya on the other side of the boxes. Desi can play this patiently, but he doesn't have a kit. Checks the left, and he takes it. Big plays from Desi, and a massive clutch for Complexity.
Nothing like coming up big when your team barely invests pistols. You're down to $1,400, and that round is the one you turn around of all the rounds so far. 4-2. It's a big one for Complexity. Splyce will take a look. They will have cash, bomb plant money, and everything will be bolstering this a little bit of economy they got going for them. But Complexity, got to be happy and content with how that panned out. There will be no op for Complexity nor Splyce. It's looking a lot like AKs across the board for Splyce and rifles across the board for Complexity. All right. Quick dot problem, but we live. Although, I'm surprised Arya is letting this play out live, although Semphis is just... We tight? Semphis is all right. We're good. We're back in it. You've done it, now I've done it. But we're still live, so I like it.
Early banana control from Complexity between 2. That's Desi and Def to set the cross. Immediately rotating Slemmy back to the A site, and that's where Splyce have their eyes set. At least for the time being. It's only Roka to try and keep Banana honest. Now the problem is with that last round, Splyce got onto the bomb site before they realized that quick flank to the bottom of Banana. So they have no clue that Desi was nipping at their heels so quickly. And again, that option's on the table. Roka just lingering towards the bottom of mid, has to keep an eye on it. But for the most part, this is still Banana in the hands of Complexity. T-side starting to set their execution off of the couple of nades they've thrown up and over. But no push just as of yet, 45 seconds left.
Complexity pulling Slemmy back over towards the B side as they have Def pushed way down in towards logs. And they actually catch Desi peeking top Banana. Do they clear this for Def? Yes, they will, and he won't get a single frag for his life. And it may be another one of these situations where it'll be an instant save call from Complexity. They can't even deal with Rick, so I think it almost has to be a save in the situation as Rick's through the smoke finds Surreal. And that is just heart-wrenching for Complexity. 2 rifles down that they probably wanted to save. Android wants to desperately find Rick's at the very least. But this is going to be Splyce's number 5, and another reset for Complexity, 2 back-to-back.
Yeah, that's been the story of these last 3 rounds. It's just been bouncing between the 2 teams, so economic stability has not been on the table. And that trend shall continue as Splyce are able to squeak another win. But Android at least grabs 1 frag here on the exit. He needs to keep this M4 up, but he knows he's being boxed in. Semphis coming around mid, gets spotted and killed. Android doing a very good job of taking 1v1s, and he finds himself another. Great damage from Android. Gonna try to fall back, but he near gets round that corner. Arya able to catch him before he fades away. Still though, even though he loses the gun, I'll give it to him. Android keeps up the impact. And when you're trading back and forth rounds like this, that's decent enough. It's going to keep the economy low for Splyce. We can see the hindrance here with a couple of SMGs purchased up. But they also know that Complexity are economically struggling. It makes sense at this point to keep those weaponries and then to, of course, assert them versus the Complexity team that's going to be no armor, hopefully. I would hate to see a force buy. Just start to get that banker rolling.
All right, so we're jumping back into this. Yeah, the banker needs to start rolling again as Splyce are looking good on the T side at least.
Can I make a complaint?
Fire away.
So I think that Inferno is one of those maps where utility is so important, you need to emphasize it over getting these sorts of buys. Sure enough, you're going to have a double save, so some players will just think, buy anyways. We have to save the next, etc., etc. But if we're going to look at the amount of grenades that they'll have in their next buy round, I guarantee it's going to be lackluster, and I hope for their sake it doesn't cost them. End round.
And /S. Like it. Good. Book it. Remember it. Chat, it's up to you to remember this as well. We'll come back into the rifle round and see how much, if they're going to have those mollies to slow the pushes. Deep mollies in towards Banana to see if they can find a frag and isolate some Splyce members. Those are critical to have as Desi, again with his deagle. You might just eat your words because their buy round may come sooner than we thought, unfortunately, Scrawny. Is you never sleep on the deagles and pistols. As Roka's in a 1v2, good kill on Desi and cleans it up for Def, so never mind. Roka saves the round for now for Splyce, and we'll even get $300 into his pocket. But that got scary close.
I was clenched, I'll admit it.
That's a
I was a little worried.
Yeah.
But in the end, it doesn't work out because the reliability of it is ever so low. Once Roka knows how to deal with it, he does so. 12-5 is Roka right now, really coming to life here on Inferno, as is Rick's 10 kills currently to his name. So the firepower of Splyce, a little more present on Inferno than it was Train. They have already found 6 rounds here on the second map. More so than they did in the entirety of Train. It is just pistols yet again for Complexity. Now, I will give them props. On the pistol round, they buy only 1 P250. So nobody wanting to spend anything whatsoever. This might actually mitigate the purchases in the last one, but we shall see. Roka with the AK, gonna catch Android out. That is the first frag found for Splyce as they group up towards the balcony. They want to just charge into the A site, but they're wary of the stack. With Semphis getting dinked and then killing Dizzy, he should just come out wide. But he's actually just going to smoke it off and wait. So not looking to throw themselves into the meat grinder. That could be a stack bomb site. And it currently is. What is left of Complexity still stands, and that will be Slemmy with Surreal. Both players down for the count. Splyce leading by 5.
Well, this is definitely not Train, and you can see why based on the scoreline. Splyce. It's been kind of a weird match, though, where Complexity win first rifle, immediately reset. win the round after that, only to get reset again. Splyce stringing 3 more together. As we're hit round number 10. Double up from Complexity may be the answer here on Surreal and Def. We know that both of these Brits like to wield the op. Maybe this will be a game changer as Def lines them up. He will deal damage onto Roka after he finds one frag, but Desi gets nothing for his life. Now, ultimately, if Desi gets a frag there and is able to fall back, that's all in all well and done, but Rix is still being an issue towards mid. Surreal may find Semphis, but it's almost not enough.
Not yet, anyways, but he flashes his way through. Doesn't see the player in the corner. That's Roka, who goes wild on the left click. Able to still pick up that frag in the end, but this is so damn clutchable. Slemmy with a Molotov and a frag versus 2 incredibly lit players. But does he know? I guess not, because he's not going to fancy his chances, and he is just going to go ahead and save. So Slemmy gives this one up. Complexity forfeiting an 8th round to Splyce. Splyce with just sheer aggression up Banana. The first shot there from the Opera on Banana actually kills one and collaterals the second, dealing a whole bunch of damage, but not taking him down. That bomb's going to deal additional chip, but Splyce will keep 2 players standing and move into the next. You know what would have really slowed down the pace of that round, Seaside?
Oh, some utility?
Yep.
Huh.
But at the same time, instead of... They have 2 options, right? You can either use the utility to try and take control of the map, or you go for an aggro peek. They at least played into the strength of the buy that they had, so I'll give them credit for that. But I'm not an advocate for those aggressive kinds of CT plays on Inferno. I'm more a fan of that passive map control. I think it's a map with a lot of bottlenecks, a lot of choke points, and so you just got to use the utility to its strength, like they are right now towards Banana. Smoking it off halfway, Molotoving deeper. Look how that Molly is going to flush players away from Splyce. Why not do that in a gun round? It's a fantastic play.
Well, no answers yet. Slemmy gets boosted. And, well, Arya spots him first. Looking over the smoke, you can spot the players on top of Broken Wall. His teammate will lay right beside him with the same death animation, as Def is going to be able to fall back into sight. Sit and wait for Splyce to come slaughter him, as Def has no armor. 1 bullet will send his crosshair to the skies. And he is able to clean up Semphis. Nice second one onto Roka before he will lay there floating, waiting for his body to decay in the water to get all pruny. We all hate that. As it is Surreal now in a 1v3. Gets himself in towards Chapel. But this should be Splyce's number 9, though. Maybe Surreal will find some parting gifts, but that's about it.
Splyce has been doing a very good job of isolating this B site anti-eco. And then changing up and going towards A for the rifle rounds. They've got very nice presence through the apartments. They have nice little set executes over the top of the walls as well. We've seen them smoke off arch side, smoke off library, and then just pinch all around the A site. And then when they head to B, it's much more just kind of a hammerhead assault. They smoke off CT cross, which is incredibly standard. Just Molotov certain corners and just kind of stampede in, which is always fun to watch. But here we have it. Complexity back into the buy with a double op setup once more. This time, utility coupled with the rifles themselves. We'll see if this is enough to turn the tide back to Complexity's favor, but it's a 7-point lead regardless for Splyce, and they still have an op of their own on Arya. This is now Arya opping across both maps, and that leads me to believe there's some changes in the roles of Splyce, whether that be just here tonight or in the future moving forward. Regardless, Drone does what Drone does best. He entries up with the opening frag, burns Desi alive thanks to the Molotov of Roka and his damage dealt, but that's still the 3v3 with both ops standing on Complexity.
And Def got 2 there. Good job on staying alive. Now Android about to have his hands full. Brix comes jumping out. Instead, he walks it, as Arya's just going to walk out behind him. And those are the easiest frags you'll ever see Android get, as Semphis finds Surreal. He's banking on Android taking a peek here momentarily. As look at Def, he's not really fully rotating yet. As Semphis is going to be able to isolate Android, and due to Def taking so long to rotate, it's a free plant for Semphis. Question is, how safe is it with Def being posted up already with the op? Semphis will use a molly behind him. Now Def knows he is in sight. Jump up, and Def finds 3. And not only does he get a 3K, Complexity gets a 3rd. So all in all, not a bad round for Complexity, but what it is it's expensive. It's a very expensive round for Complexity. They have been reset every time they win a round, and I don't see why this is going to be any different. Splyce have cash, Complexity have to rebind 4 members, and if being reset in the final 2 rounds is just heartbreaking, especially on the favorite side. But again, from what I've noticed, Scrawny, correct me if I'm wrong, for some reason, NA teams are better on T side of Inferno than they are CT. It just seems to be a pattern I'm seeing.
Yeah, statistically, that is correct. I think it was you and I who had that conversation with DDK at the ECS studios, right? I was going to say, I feel like I've talked to you about this.
Yeah, we have,
So,
yeah, in a different life, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so DDK brought that up to us and explained how I mean, he didn't just explain, he proved to us statistically that that is the case. NA teams just seem to hit it on the T side and struggle with the defense. You could argue that it's because Inferno is very rotation-based and that the choke points can be exploited. There's multiple reasons you could allude to, but currently on the A site, we will have the defense tested. Def's trying to rotate back through library, but Drone's already leading the charge. Def's able to catch Rick, so that does force the T's to come in from one direction, but they do so with ease, clearing out the two defenders and leaving this to the 3v3.
Desi's trying so hard. He knows Arya is in pit, but that's such a crushable, safe spot. So hard to spam it and find the mark. As Slemmy, he's running it out here with the FAMAS, gets spotted. Semphis is in the typical boost spot. So waiting for that smoke to dissipate. Desi was getting boosted over top spot. Semphis finds the frag. There's one more in sight. That's Drone immediately traded as it's all on Arya. Can he get the 3K onto Def? He runs out of bullets. And Def will say thank you. That's 2 3Ks in a row for the man. And a clutch. As him, Desi, and Android will all be sitting around 12 frags. 11 for Android, 12 Desi, 12 Def. As they are just kind of being the rocks right now for complexity. As they will not get reset this time around.
Yeah, we saw Roka and Rix really come to form in the beginning of this half, and they've even continued that forward. I mean, 30 frags combined between Roka and Rix, 14 rounds deep. That's fantastic. But now we're starting to see an individual play from Complexity that can counter that of Splyce. Like you just mentioned, Def with 2 crucial 3Ks back-to-back to avoid that hard reset. Something else you had mentioned, how Complexity have yet to do this. So this is a crucial moment for them to find that consecutive round. It's going to avoid the hard reset and actually put Splyce's economic state into question. So it is now Splyce who have a lot on the line. And if they're not able to win this round, we are going to see them back to the pistols and only round 3 loss bonus. Of course, they've gotten back-to-back plants as well, so silver lining for the T side. But we are getting towards the later portion of this half. It'll be a force in the next with whatever's left over. Big opening frag from Rix as he hits the headshot through the apps. That's Android down for the count. And only 1 player left defending A. Now, luckily for Complexity, they still have 3 guys stacked at the B site, and they have yet to rotate one off of this. Slemmy seems confident in the hold.
Semphis is lining up a smoke here. That is going to be, I believe, a spool smoke. As Surreal, in the meantime, finds Rix, the lurker, towards A. Now, if you kill Rix on the opposite side of the map, 9 times out of 10, Splyce are going to the opposite bomb site. So Roka's going to try to work in. Molly separates from his teammates, but it is just a one-man Roka fake as his teammates have transitioned back. Not ready for Surreal. The hops are real, though. Was that Semphis flying by? Damn. He put on his dancing shoes as he just foons his way by, baits out the shot, and that may be the turn in the round.
Slemmy never lets off the movement key as he sprays down with the ump. So it will be Complexity securing the man advantage, but they're going to continue this retake after Slemmy swaps to the op. So 1 op down as Def gets dropped. Desi is now spotted. Semphis takes the frag and cowers into the corner, but that's the perfect play. Forces Slemmy to calculate his decision, and he decides to go for the save. Falls back yet again to move that 1 rifle forward, but that will be for the 15th and final round of the half. Splyce giving up the consecutive rounds, but not letting the 3rd shine through.
They will at least save the op out on Slemmy, so that's some money saved, but that's not much cash really to work with. They didn't really build up much to begin with, as they had to clutch both those rounds. They had to clutch 12 and they had to clutch 13 thanks to Def. So they're very low in cash. SMGs will come out if FAMAS comes out. The op gets tossed over to Surreal, and they barely have any utility. So this should be an 11-4 half, which, you know, if the facts reign true and T side is preferred, maybe this is a good half for NA. Who knows?
That's a big pick for Surreal, so thank goodness Slemmy moved that op forward. It does net Complexity their opening 5v4. Now, we can see how Rix, who has previously gotten aggressive through apartments, is just going to wait for his team to come in from mid, and that's where Semphis peeks through the smoke, catches Surreal. That's the op now down, and Def as well traded back thanks to Semphis. Great timing here for Splyce to keep themselves moving as a single cohort, but Android is up here, and he's got himself one. He's going to have to go for the reload. It's still the man advantage, thanks to him for complexity.
And Desi's making a ton of noise as he pushes up here. They're going to stop the plant because they know they're close. No, they actually did stick it. Slemmy gets a trade. You're right. Doesn't let go of the movement key as he knows where Android is. Can he catch him? No. Arya's going to get pushed. P250 finds Slemmy. No scopes in the books, and it's a quick one onto Android. Shout out to Arya. The old gun still got it, and he's firing on all cylinders. 11-4. And that's heartbreaking again. A man advantage thrown away from complexity almost. Well, not almost. It was.
Absolutely right. So here we have it. Tail of the tape after the end of the first half is an 11-4 lead to Splyce. They get the pistol, they convert. We get that kind of wishy-washy back and forth in between the 4th and 7th rounds. But that's when kind of momentum took over. Splyce are able to add consecutive rounds to the board. Finally, complexity gets something. They don't get hard reset for a 3rd time. And then yet again, Splyce bounce back with those last 2 rounds. So certainly a one-sided affair, even for the T side of Inferno. This has Splyce written all over it. I mean, I think that complexity struggled with the rotations there. All too often, there was an execute coming from Splyce with players still lingering through CT spawn. And that's the problem with Inferno, is that you need to commit to rotating. And if you don't get ahead of the wave, well, your players on sites get outnumbered, and then that forces saves. I mean, how many times did we see Slemmy just retreat with a weapon in a desperate attempt to keep complexity relevant in those gun rounds? It's tough to watch. Complexity coming off of the hot 16-4 victory on Train. It was a tough half, but it's not over yet. Let's not count them out. Can they bring this back to at least a respectable score? The second half is about to begin.
Well, hit out on Arya, the man who clutched it in the previous half final round. As Complexity will have Glocks across the board. No utility, which I love utility on the T side of Inferno. I think one smoke, a couple flashes, and you're looking nice and hot. As Roka's going to take a peek towards alt, spot the small Roman army of 300. And what? Just, I don't even want to know. Roka just hits the flick upwards, will fall to Desi, but the floodgates are open.
Clearing out this A site is the offense of Complexity. Rick's on the rotate already, takes one, and goes down. Android with a frag, Desi with another. Arya, 1v4. He's got himself the kit and the smoke, and a kill. So he shall keep going onwards and forward towards the bomb site. Gonna try and smoke things off, but it's with the smoke in hand that he gets caught. Headshot connects, and that is it. Complexity take the pistol and get a start, at least, for their T side.
Well, it's a start to something. You're right. Maybe it'll transition to more. Splyce, you can do the typical buy of armor, upgrade to pistols. And you can see kind of the preference across the squad when it comes to pistols. There's 2 CZ players, 2 5.7 players, a P250 player. As Arya is just going for minimal investment there. So his makes a sense into his role. As Complexity is just going to settle out across the map. Look for any pushes. You see Desi spotting alt. Surreal will worry about mid. As 3 players can control Banana, and Banana control is very important on a map like Inferno. It's nice to keep presence here. It's nice to keep one player. It keeps the rotations hampered and slow, which is critical on a map like Inferno, just due to how long rotations take. And if CTs get the drop on you, it's fairly easy to hold the choke points on these sites.
Smoke comes out for the CT cross, so Semphis responds with one of his own. It's going to allow for him to play that 5-7 quite aggressively. Meanwhile, Complexity themselves start to prepare for A. Again, so many grenades for Complexity to play off of, but they are just down to the 1 Molotov. That should be held onto to clear out Pit. It would actively counter the position from Roka. Meanwhile, Def takes 2 at the B site. Now we're going to see Complexity execute in. They'll smoke off the CT spawn to ensure no rotation, plant, and hang on to the 5 versus 3. Splyce, hopefully, knowing Inferno, having picked it, should just save. Move that Kevlar and the pistols forward into the next, group up, turtle shell, and ensure that you don't go down. This is Complexity just converting as expected.
Yeah, it'd be nice for Splyce to hold on to this. Looks like Roke is just going to sit in pit, has drone with him. Complexity going to be doing a little bit of hunting. I'd like to see them just throw Slemmy and Def here. Maybe not Surreal around the corner. He may lose his AK here, but it looks like they may be onto them here shortly, as it is going to be Slemmy, or Def, excuse me, the first man out. And that is a MAC-10 picked up if they want it, and Desi has to be careful. He can't re-peek that. So, you know, a MAC-10 picked up if they want it. Roko will hold on to it, and it will will work a little bit here into the next round, as it's better than no pistol on, for example, like Arya or Semphis. Throw him the upgraded pistol. You take the MAC-10 because you have armor. They figured it out, and that's exactly what they'll do.
Again, a conversion point that should be for Complexity. They spread themselves out, though. So not just looking to group up and hit together, but rather just at least play for the early map control. Try to keep Splyce honest. You never know what kind of crazy antics you can get up to on the CT side of Inferno. I mean, there's always those kinds of carpet bombs you can throw down mid or banana. Kind of gimmicky in one sense, but at the same time, if you let your guard down and just charge into it, they can very easily catch you out. Seeing as this was the third round of the half, it is going to be a near full save. 5-7 for Semphis, Kevlar on 3, CZs in the MAC-10. Again, a lot saved from the last. But Def clears the first corner. Above, Slemmy takes one to the back of the site, and then Rix reveals himself, but he too dealt with as Def goes wrapping round. Desi anchoring middle catches Roka on the attempted flank, so Drone 1v4.
Gets the gush, can't find the frag, and all of a sudden this is starting to transition into something. A T-half from Complexity that's looking just competent. It's looking like Splyce are having some issues when it comes to locking things down. Granted, that was only the pistol in the transition rounds. So this is where Splyce really come to life. This is where the real challenge starts. This is where Complexity may hit a brick wall. That is the op-out and Arya. That is the rifles. That is just a couple mollies. That's some smokes and flashes to really start to slow Complexity down. Now this is really almost a critical round, is picking up the first rifle round for Complexity.
Splyce have the advantage of the op, but Complexity have been doing a very good job of just entering on their T side, so the 5 rifle buy might work out. Arya again on the CT side of Inferno, still the primary op, most notably, but that first shot goes wide, looks for the next, and he will take it. Surreal exposing himself and taking one to the noggin. It is going to be Splyce trying to hold it, and Arya hits one through the smoke. Excellently done. Passive angle being held from Semphis as he attempts to wait for the cross. Spray connects ever so slightly, but the bomb should still be planted. He's going to have to fade for the reload. And the 5v3 retake as Desi reveals himself towards the A site, though. This is going to be the CTs knowing there's a player to their back line.
I'm surprised they just don't go as quick as possible, knowing that Desi's going to be hella late. And you've already taken one out of the site. You think you'd push in immediately. Although they are to utility, and Arya has 3. There goes their last flash, as Def is just going to sit in towards dark. A late smoke blooms right in front of the site. That kind of baits Rix into peeking Desi here. And now it is just Arya. 13 HP, nothing really going his way. He's going to try to get out of here with his life, but Def is holding for this and an easy cleanup. And I think Def may get out of here. He will, and he'll even pick up the op. So a 2K for him. Def's been having one hell of a map, even when his team is down. Him and Desi and Android, really. Those 3 players right now just stepping it up for Complexity and putting Splyce on the back foot right now when it comes to this buy.
Yeah, throughout the entirety of this game, it's definitely been those 3, but in that one exact moment, it's all Slemmy. You see Splyce attempt the retake with 3 players coming in from the CT cross, and he actually lines up 2, killing one and dealing substantial damage to the next. So he kind of hinders that retake. You see the CTs hesitate, and it's then that the rest of Complexity get aggressive. Of course, Def to the back of Emo, catching one to the side of the head. That's, of course, just going to be a freebie frag, and then by that time, Desi arrives on the bomb site, forcing a 2v1 to Complexity's favor. But there was that window of opportunity where they know Desi's over at A, they could have ramped the retake, and when they try to, Slemmy knocks them down a peg. So that's a crucial damage dealt by him and frags found, but more importantly, it puts Splyce back onto pistols. This should be a conversion with ease. Desi's going to catch Arya, or rather Def does, with the help of Android, and then Semphis falls. So that's, again, this B-site crumbling, and Complexity just taking this lead back round by round.
Well, this is going to be 9 now for Complexity. There's maybe an attempted save from Splyce, maybe setting up for some exits. Although it is going to be a buy next round with max loss, right? You're going to hit that $3,400. You're going to... This armor is almost irrelevant when it comes to your next buy. It's going to be a strong buy. Surreal is just going to be very cautious as they try to push down Banana. Now, an up given up would be a nice chunk of change for Splyce to at least save. We will see Arya be able to afford it, but if they can get one for free, that's always the better. As you'll see one of Surreal's players go in front of him, I hope. Yeah, that'd be Android. They still have to be cautious how they come around the corner. That's 2 weapons down. Def will try to get it. They will not clean up in the end. As Rix is now going to get caught reloading. That's awkward. So you know what? They may drop the op. It gets picked up from Slemmy. But damage done to keep Complexity at least from running away when it comes to their bank. Because if they find that round flawlessly, then it gets a little spooky.
He only loses a CZ, but that's now twice over 2 maps that we've seen Rix just re-peeking before he finishes his reload. Once on Train when he doesn't finish the FAMAS, and now the CZ. CZ may be a little more excusable. That thing takes forever, but why not wait, man? Frustrating, Seaside. It's frustrating. Minor mistakes cost you. That could have been another rifle removed. You could be curbing the economy of Complexity, which is really starting to run away. I mean, we got 12,000 on Desi, 7.3 for Surreal. Certainly, Splyce back into the buy could deal some damage here, but they need to start and stop this offense of Complexity. Arya's going to get locked into this angle because the fire burns him in, so that's an easy pick for Android. He aggressively walks through the fire, walks back with 4 HP, and that's where Semphis will catch him. So it is a one-and-done trade-off here from Complexity, but that's still the 4v4 favoring the T side. If only Desi was sitting on more than 25 health.
Jeez. This game's gotten all of a sudden close. Looks like Dan was right when it comes to T side Inferno NA. We'll have to send him this game as a specific example. With Splyce not picking up a single CT round yet. Now Semphis can be the man to have impact here. 1 smoke though and he's neutralized. He has to rotate now over towards Spools, aka Coffins now, but there's a smoke there even hampering him, and maybe even a molly soon behind it. So he's going to try to play the gap, though. Spot Slemmy getting to dark, so that's info gained. And there you go, 2-man advantage. Semphis makes it good. Makes it happen. As the bomb goes down, though, Def and Surreal, no utility, trying to hold on against Splyce.
Def's going to get aggressive, though. He's trying to section a 1v1. The rest of Splyce have arrived, and they all peek at the same time. That's traded back. And it is just Surreal to the 1v3. Now he peeks out, hits the first, know where Semphis is coming from, but that flash was fully blinding, and it allows for Splyce to finish the retake. Now that was a 2 versus 4 for Complexity, and they at least take 2 frags with them. So they dealt additional damage, they kept Splyce honest, but both of those ops move forward, and that's going to allow for the rebuy here from Splyce. However, that hard resets on the table, and we saw the damage it dealt to Complexity halfway through their CT side. This is the first round from Splyce on the defense, and if they were to get reset here, Seaside, you know it's gonna hurt.
It's gonna be probably an even scoreline if they get reset here almost. I think it's gonna be 10, 11. Yeah, probably 11. It's gonna get really nail biting. A bad habit to have, nail biting, by the way. I have it. It's rough. You know, I think I've shared more about my personal life this stream than I really plan to, Scrawny. But you know, you're just easy to talk to, my man.
Glad I comfort you.
Yeah, well, you do. Maybe not in a creepy way. Don't take it that way. As it is a double up from Splyce, Arya and Semphis. There's kits out. They have mollies. They still have some smokes. As Arya is going to hold towards Boiler. Def's just going to continue to hold it himself. As Complexity looking more a little like an A-heavy kind of setup right now. But it's important that they do keep this IV pressure. I mentioned this earlier. They'll keep 1 player there. That's going to be Surreal with the op. Waiting for a peek. Waiting for anything. Maybe a flash to come over, a smoke. Trying to bait something out from Splyce.
You can see how Splyce are playing a much more passive B setup on their CT side. We saw round after round Complexity putting Desi at the forefront, smoking off the bottom of that portion of the map, and then just hanging on to it, allowing for the CTs to quickly flank and A execute. So this is going to be one of those rounds, see? Complexity now setting up for the A site because they took Banana. They know the CTs are playing passive, and that if they gear up towards the A site, there's no one coming in from behind. So it's going to be up to Splyce to actually hold the site and give time for the rotate to come in. Arya's able to find one frag, but Slemmy quickly quells it with a 2K of his own. Roka, the insurance policy, because he's yet to reveal himself. He sees Android planting the bomb, takes 2 of his own. Big defense for Roka as he repeaks for more, but Surreal will hit the flick and the plant comes through. At the very last moment, they've gotten the bomb in, and this could be it. Splyce with the potential reset if they cannot retake. Surreal's over towards the pit, trying to lock it with the op, and Desi hits the headshot through the wall. That's a crucial frag that leaves a lot of pressure on the shoulders of Rix.
And he has no utility, but he has a kit. Spots out Desi, can't clean up the shots, and Complexity will send them back down to what is the equivalent of the Shadow Realm, $1,400. And you can see where they're sitting right now. They're going to have to take a save and get a buy next round. So this will put Complexity within 1 round. Now, that's if Splyce save here. There's still the possibility of, well, Rix's buy is going to suck. Roka's buy is going to suck. Heck, I'm Semphis and my buy is going to suck. Let's just buy half buy here. So it is just going to be upgraded pistols. Next spot, next round. Honestly, it could be the same thing. We could see a double save here more than likely because they love the op pressure. I feel like they almost need an op here on the CT side due to the ops just finding frags after frags after frags.
Right now, we're seeing the depth of Complexity's talent start to shine in. I mean, if you go back to Train, well, that was easily Android and Surreal with the hard carry, but those 2 players are now 2 of the 3 bottom fraggers. It is Def and Desi with over 20 frags each, and that's not to talk badly of the other 2, but that just goes to show Complexity are not a one-trick pony. However, they have lost a player over towards the B site. That was Def on an informational play, having found 1 frag, but also his death, leaving Complexity towards A. Roka going to dwindle down 1 player slightly. That's Slemmy to 33, but Complexity's still in full control of the situation, grouping themselves together and playing as a single cohort so that trades cannot happen. Drone going to find 1 more at the back of the site, but then again, it is quickly Complexity back on the kill feed. To the 3v2 we go.
Slemmy's holding the smoke. Rix as well. Semphis will run through it. And only 1 man exits. That's Rix now. He has 2 kills to his name, no armor. Just a Mac 10. Complexity should be easy living here on these 2 AKs. That's an interesting smoke from Desi. I don't know if I really like that smoke. But it doesn't matter at the end as Rix is actually coming behind him. Don't tell me Rix kills him. Oh my goodness. And Rix is going to jump out. We'll find the one-on-one with Android. Spraying away profusely onto the pistol. 3K. Can't get the 4th, but you got to say that came way too close for Complexity. A little sloppy against these pistols.
Yeah, that got a little wonky, to say the least. I give credit to Android, though, staying composed as he had a player just barreling forward towards him. Rix with the last-ditch effort to take back the site and try to reset Complexity. That would have been awesome if Splyce can come into that round with only pistols and then just counter their own reset by forcing it upon their opponents. But that's not the case, and it does leave Splyce with a buy in this one. Not a single kit, lackluster utility, but the 3-man banana stack finds them in the opener. Def is going to find himself that 1 kill. Arya trading it back, not coming up empty-handed, but the CTs still split 2 per site, both of which on pit here at A. Surreal with the op, trying to creep around the arch side. And here's something new from Complexity. They're actually prying through arch. So if Android doesn't commit the bomb up highway, they might actually flank towards B.
Yeah, the one thing Def got is not only 1 frag, but he gained info. He spotted 3 players, and Slemmy's waiting for Rix to rotate, and it works out beautifully. And now Desi's going to send on this kind of lurk kind of roll. They're trying to pull this player, Arya, back down towards Banana to stay towards B, but Complexity are just finding all the frags everywhere. They can go to either side at this point and just have full control unless they miscount for Drone. Are they going to fully clear pit? As Drone will show face, finds Desi, can't land the shots required, as he will crouch peek to his death, and Arya is just going to try to tuck tail and run, but Slemmy's saying, not today, not tonight. You are not getting away with that AK. We've played for long enough, and it's time for us to get this 2-0, as this is the final tack call from Splyce, I believe. So this is a tactical from Splyce, the final one. We're at 12-12, and it is a save from Splyce. We'll see some upgraded pistols. Arya probably won't spend a penny here, as he's going to wait until they get 4-round loss to get the op. But slowly but surely, Complexity have brought this back. Keep in mind, Splyce have gotten 1 round on the CT side.
Look at the amount of 1vXs currently on the table. I mean, we have 7 for Complexity And we have 6 for Splyce. 7 plus 6, that's 13 Seaside. 13 clutch rounds of 25. 24 actually being played. So easily more than half of these rounds have come down to 1vx situations. That's incredible.
That's actually insane. And it's been mostly Def to win those, I bet, actually, for complexity. Because I know, right?
I mean, the statistics prove you wrong, but
do they? Oh well.
Is
Oh
that,
yeah.
that scoreboard
Yo, sorry,
on
I
the
had
screen there?
Yeah, I have it really, shrunk. So I'm squinting. Yeah, but Def wins 2. Those were the back-to-back 3Ks. Can I answer that question again?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I think it's Desi the one to have. Oh, Desi is the one to have the most with 4. Look at that. Roka's close. So at least Roka's actually turning up this map, which I feel is like a key that Splyce need. They have Semphis calling. They have Arya hitting the op shots required. Rix is on and off. Drone seems to be the most consistent on Splyce, but if Roka turns up, then the squad really gets start rolling. So he is turning up now, but the CT side seems to be having some bumps on the road, some potholes that our tax dollars just aren't filling yet.
Damn socialism. Splyce,
Damn.
4 players towards the apps, though. This is something new, so trying to get an initiative rolling. Desi going to keep an eye on the push. He's able to catch the first headshot. Arya rounds the corner. He's going to make noise, so Desi re-engages, but that costs him his space. Def from afar, able to find another frag and deal damage towards these 2. He expects the mid-peak, catches Semphis, but Semphis takes the frag. And while Semphis is taking frags, Complexity's taking bomb sites.
Well, Complexity will transition this into 13. The one thing Splyce have going for them is the 2 AKs in their hands. So if they can hold on to these. Complexity do have cash if they want to send a couple players hunting, which, all in all is not a bad idea. Slemmy's going to be the man to be first on the scene in towards Library. He's just kind of running out. He's hoping someone peeks him. He's definitely making noise, and Semphis peeks, and he finds headshot. So now he knows he's learned his lesson. Complexity will take a lead after, what was it, 11-4 half. An 11-4 half. Complexity will string the first 5 rounds together, and now they will string 4 together on their T side. This has been a hell of a match so far, showing you the strength of T side Inferno. Really, really how difficult it is to hold on to sites, especially if you're trading 1 for 1 right at the beginning of towards Banana. And I feel like a critical thing for CTs on Inferno is clean kills at the beginning towards, especially Banana. If you lose a player towards A, okay, they still have to run a fair distance to get to the site. You die towards Banana, that's so much map control given up that this T's can just take full control of.
Yeah, I feel like Banana is just step 1 on map control when it comes to Inferno. If you don't have Banana control as an offense, then every time you go into the A site, you not only have to worry about that fast flank behind you, but you also have to worry about the information you've given to the CTs. If they know Banana's clear, then odds are it's A, and they're going to bolster that defense. So it's really cool to see Complexity's T side because they take Banana first and foremost. It's actually this round that Def dies towards A. Normally they leave him over there, they clear out Banana, and then rotate that bomb back. But this seemed like a B site commitment from the get-go. It is going to be a smoke on the CT cross. Rick's removed from above, though, and the player in sight takes 1. That's Semphis, dropping the bomb in the open and stagnating the offensive. Complexity's still going to barrel forward, catching him with nades, but he is still standing, and he's going to clear into orange, and Semphis drops the bomb yet again until Android takes it back. Man advantage for Splyce, but that plant is yet to be secured.
The one thing Complexity have right now is time on the clock. That peek from Arya definitely doesn't help out as Android's down to 52. Has to isolate some 1v1s here. And he's actually going to push this smoke. This is such a ballsy play. And Roka's ready for it. Android wins it. Low on ammo, but Drone will say not now. Take a little rest in the flowers. As it is going to be 13-13. As again, it's Roka to turn up a little bit. As it was a nice hold from Splyce. Arya with his op, challenging from Coffins. As it's 13-13, Complexity. Now this is it. They're banks into this. They lose this round, they're going to have to take an eco, perhaps, maybe a half buy. Splyce have finally kind of dwindled that down over time, bringing these situations and just making sure Complexity don't keep 4 or 5 players alive every round. As Arya has to be careful how he peeks this. He has Surreal posted on him. And interestingly enough, Surreal's the one to main the op now, where we've seen Def mainly having it so far in this series, and even on Inferno. This is a recent change, I think, like this game right now, because it's mainly been Def this match.
Again, Splyce not wanting to go for aggressive B control. They have very rarely tried to clash in the opening portion of the round. Very content with just giving up complexity, all the map control, and trying to hold off on the bomb sites as well. I mean, that's something that you can do, but you need to rely on very strong holds. I mean, even look at the positioning from Semphis. It's not towards CT spawn. There's no way for him to go rotate to A. So they need to lock this down at the B site. Luckily for them, it seems like Complexity are going to come charging through. Semphis getting that crucial first frag, and it was Semphis who gave them the win on the B site in the last round. You can't deny it. The flashbang, the surviving, and the clearing of 2 was crucial for the rotation off of Splyce. But now Complexity, having lost 1 player there, they've changed directions and go towards A.
Surreal. Looking for something. Drone is playing this nice angle now. They hear the tick of that molly. This may bait out a peek from Drone, who hasn't been spotted, although Complexity do have mid control, so Splyce have little to no info across the map. Def here's 1 player rotating off B, and here's him rotating back. Rix is just sitting second oranges, I believe, just playing very content to sit there, as Semphis has no problem finding that clean frag. Rix, they're not even looking towards sight now. Rix may kill his teammate, but he's got 2, so Semphis can't be too upset about it unless this round goes the way of Complexity. And with 3 seconds, Rix isn't even going to check his corner. The story of this match so far, as Desi will fall after time. So that's a little heart-wrenching. We'll see a half buy for Complexity. But all in all, Splyce get to 14.
And we saw 2 rounds strung together towards the end of Complexity's CT side before Splyce again turned it on their head and locked out the last 2. So we can't give it away from Complexity just yet. They will come into this one with somewhat of a buy. Double AK, triple sidearm, full nades. Let's play the counting game, Seaside. How many grenades get wasted preemptively because of deaths? That is always the most crucial mistake made by these kinds of buys, and I'd hate to see it happen now that Complexity have almost made this comeback.
It's getting late. Splyce don't care. They want to push to a 3rd map. Ari's going to hold the smoke. As Complexity shift walk in towards A apps. They do send Slemmy towards mid. I imagine he has a smoke he throws from here, and a molly as well. His molly missed. It was supposed to land in sight. You can see it landing on top roof. There's the smoke that lands towards lane. Drone will return his own smoke towards porch, but right now a 1-for-1 trade is not bad for Complexity until Drone's going to strike. Gets 1, he gets a second onto the pistol, and Drone gets 3 from pit, as Splyce will get to match point. And Complexity have to now push for OT on what is going to be a very lackluster buy.
Looks like we might be going to that 3rd decider map. 2 opportunities for Complexity, one of which off of pistols. Very good hold there from Drone. Prioritizing targets. He could have very much committed to the second man dropping off of the truck side, but instead he fixates on the guy in pit and then uses the sidearm to just jiggle peek for the 3rd. So that was a great play once he's finally tested on his CT side position. It is going to be the rapid execution straight towards this B site. Complexity just trying to come through. The smoke extinguishes the flames, but Surreal goes barreling through the next. Semphis sprays for 3, and Slemmy with 1 headshot is going to put up a fight, but Complexity in a 2v4.
Now it is all Surreal on Coffins. Shut down from Aria. We are going to a 3rd map.